Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar on data science. Thank you for joining. And before we start, I'd like to put your attention to the fact that we have ability to ask questions. We have a number of votes, and I would really appreciate you rating this webinar. I really love to hear what you think about it, what is useful to you. So, a short introduction. My name is Daniel Shash. I'm a product manager of data science at Elix, and I'm leading this data science webinar with the topic Recommender Systems in Action. What I do as a product manager is developing the strategy of data science within the company, listening to the market, talking to our clients, and kind of trying to understand which way should the product go. However, there is a tricky thing in listening to the market and developing your product. The thing is that if you would only listen to the customers, to the vendors, to what is already there on the market, you might end up following others. And I guess that's not what the folks really want to do. I truly believe that only being a market leader or a follower for the market leader, but they're on the top, you can be really successful. And in my understanding, what makes a company successful and being a market leader is innovation. So in some way, this presentation is about innovation, about bringing innovation to the recommender engines. Getting closer to the topic, here is the contents on what I'm going to talk about within this webinar. So first, I'll give a short introduction of what is data science, give you some points on recommender engines or systems, some types of them, what they do, describe you what do we see a combination of data science and recommender and what benefits can you get of this. And the last but not the least, the most important part of the presentation would be the future trends and new horizons of recommender engines. So once again, this presentation is not for the, well, it is both for IT people and business people, but I'm not going to be concentrated on some algorithms or some formulas. You're not going to hear it here. Probably what I want you to bring from this presentation are some ideas of what would you do to your recommender engines in future, make them more effective. So what is data science? Is it a rocket science or something? I believe it's not. I believe it's a combination of some skills, technologies, and techniques. Skills like data engineering, statistics, math, high-performance computing, natural languages processing, computer vision, data warehousing, and others. And these skills that help organizations transform growing volume, variety, and velocity of data to a new business insights and drive the business forward to competitive advantage. So in my opinion, data science is not about formulas and it's not about algorithms. It's about how can business benefit from these unobvious business insights and make better decisions. We've been talking about data science, bringing some insights from the data. So what kind of data that is? This can be both internal and external sources. When I'm talking about internal sources, they are CRM data, ERP data, some logs of website visitors, which pages have they visited, what are their journeys or routes through the website, data from your loyalty programs, and much more. And external sources, such as Twitter feed, Facebook feed, some external data providers. For example, you can buy a lot of data from Thomson Reuters or other companies. This data might be structured and non-structured. What is structured? It's Excel table, it's SQL database. What is not structured? It's Twitter feed or videos or mostly pictures. And yeah, do I believe that data science is about dealing necessarily with big data? No, I don't think so. Even though big data is a lot much of hype, I think that data science is not only about these huge volumes of data. So even from some, I don't know, 2 gigabyte SQL database with lots of rows and records, you can get some insights unobvious for your usual usage that would help you in getting the benefits. A really important point here. You need to treat data as an asset. Because if you want to get some insights, the data you have is all you basically have. What means treating data as an asset? It means getting ready to invest in it. You can invest by either purchasing this data from some providers like Thomson Reuters, as mentioned before, or you can invest in your internal resources. Okay, so I just showed you about 5 slides of on what is data science. But when I talk to market, to the companies, they ask me a question like, hey, that's been too much of the information. Can you describe in a short 1 sentence, what does data science do for organizations? And the simple answer is data science helps organizations make better decisions. I was asking to show a slide back, so this is a data as an asset. This is the next one. Data science helps organizations make better decisions. And this can be all types of decisions, starting from which product to recommend to online user. Or which shares to buy or to sell, or which price to set for the bus tickets or airplane tickets. These are the questions that data science has helped you to answer. Now let's move forward. We're combining 2 ideas, data science and recommender engines here in this presentation. So why do we do this? Because I believe that data science can transform recommender engines into a much smarter and effective business tool. So for example, setting some manual recommendation for offering a chips or a peanuts for someone who purchases a beer is also recommender engine. But what we want to get from data science here is increase the probability ratings for the someone to make a purchase, and not only this, but also improve the consumer experience of interacting with your organization. I put the slide here for those of you who are still not sure if they should implement recommender engine to their business or whatever that is. 3 to 15% increase in revenue was reported by organizations who have successfully implemented recommender systems. So I hope this gives you enough for start thinking in this direction. So what are recommender systems? In the simplest form, recommendation systems are a set of items ranked in most preferable for specific user order. From most preferable to obviously least preferable at the bottom of the list. There are 3 main types of recommender systems: content-based, collaborative filtering, and hybrid, which is a combination of the first 2. And I will give you a little bit more information on content-based and collaborative filtering ones. So what are the content-based ones? These are the products that are recommended to a user that are similar to those that he has already consumed. And this can be either products or movies or songs or videos. Similarity is based on identified by some item attributes. If we're talking about a song, then it would be whether it's a band or a single on one finger, what is the tempo of the music, when was it released, those kind of types. What are the minuses of this solution? Is that it has strong dependency on subject field, and recommendation value is limited. I will talk a bit later on why. The next one, collaborative filtering. Builds a model from a previous user's behavior as well as similar decisions made by other users. It's more flexible and has a universal approach, usually gives better results. It also has its challenges. The most known one is cold start. I also, in the next slide, I will talk about a little bit more on cold start problem. And this is just to show you the comparison and examples. So collaborative filtering, Last.fm, content-based, Pandora. Last.fm recommends songs based on what music you're listening to and comparing it to other users similar to you and the music they have listened to. So Last.fm will play tracks that do not appear in your library, but often played by the other users who are similar to you. For example, if you're a sports fan and you like some speed and speed music for the workout, it would give you a similar music, but different groups. And what Pandora does in content-based, so they use the properties of a song or an artist in order to see the station that plays music with similar properties. So you would have recommendations with a similar music that really looks like one or another. I promise to speak more in the cold start problem. It refers to collaborative filtering, and that means that in order to start doing recommendation by using collaborative filtering, you need to have a lot of the information. So you cannot just start right away. You need to gather information based on some songs, some user and other users, and find similarities in them. What are the other industries that use recommendation engines? A lot of them. Food and non-food retailers, eBay, Amazon, Best Buy, Walmart. By the way, Amazon is known as one of the first companies who started using recommender engines. News and articles, New York Times, BBC, The Guardian. So probably after you mentioned this, that after you finish in one article, you see another one following. Hotels, music, talked about it, music, movies and books. Netflix, IMDb, and Goodreads. And we'll be speaking about Netflix in a few slides. There is a really interesting example. And there are much more. Airplane tickets, concerts, theaters, exhibitions, applications, and many more. You probably can ask, how do plane tickets get recommended? As simple as this. If you have a history of user interaction and buying plane tickets, you can recommend next destinations to him. Maybe even before he actually goes to the website and thinks about purchasing it. So you know that, for example, every new year, the guy flies to Hawaii. So you can recommend him some destinations and some tickets, which is also a recommended engine. But there are different types of recommender engines, different stories. For example, Laughter. They launched in 2010, and they've been recommending humor. So some funny stories or pictures or videos that you would like. I think they changed business a little bit, and now they're recommending comedy serials, comedy movies. And the next story is a Netflix prize. I will switch to the next slide for it. So for those of you who do not know what is a Netflix prize, some intro information. Netflix awarded $1 million prize for those who would improve their algorithm by 10%. That happened in 2006. It took 3 years to improve this algorithm. 3 years. Actually, if you divide 1 million by 3 years, it's 300,000, which is not that bad salary, I would say. So it was worth spending these 2 years for it. But the interesting story here is what have left behind the scenes. First, there were 2 teams that submitted identical results with a time difference in 20 minutes. I can imagine how did they feel, the second team which didn't win the prize. And the next thing, which is even more important, and which is not that public, is that algorithm was never implemented by the Netflix. So they have actually paid $1 million for the algorithm, which was not implemented. Why? There were a few reasons. One of them was that the business of Netflix has changed significantly from 2006 to 2009. In 2006, they were sending the DVDs to people, while in 2009, it was mostly streaming DVDs online. And that tells you that algorithm of recommender engines change in time. I have drawn this simple example here on the slide. Please don't judge me strictly. So imagine there is a guy on the website who is purchasing bread, and you can recommend him butter, milk, Nutella, or red caviar. Yeah, red caviar. The probability of purchasing of the butter is the highest. However, the price is the lowest, while the probability of purchasing the caviar is the lowest, and vice versa, the price is the highest. So what happens? I mean, you can recommend the item that would be purchased most probably. But if you look attentively, you would see that for every 100 recommendations of butter, you would generate $45 in revenue. And for every 100 recommendations in caviar, you would generate $100 in revenue. Of course, this is just an example, but what I want to think about is that you need to consider multiple criteria for your recommendation engine when setting it. It can be revenue, it can be margin, and here's an interesting thing. It can be next steps recommendation ratings. So for example, if recommending butter would give 50% probability of selling few other things, it might happen that revenue would be higher for recommending the butter. So it's like watching a few steps forward. Now recommender engines would really allow doing this. It's more complicated, but it's possible. The next slide. Content recommendation. What does it mean? Think about how do you get those people on your websites. What do you do to acquire them? You do really targeted advertisements. So you would target different messages, show different images to different people. Some of them from Facebook, some of them from Google, some of them from some blogs, and those would be totally different people: students, C-level executives, office workers, vegetarians, IT geeks, and they all have different perceptions of information. But what do you do then? You put them all to a standard website with a standard content. So why did you spend so much time and money for targeting them differently? What I'm trying to say is that understanding the profiles of the people that you're trying to bring into your website, into your online store, into your music store, into your jewelry store, or into your whatever that is, you now can basically generate the way website looks and the content and recommend this look for each specific person and significantly increase the probability that they're going to like it and move forward, make a next step. Now, next. Tesco case. I don't know if there is someone from Tesco here on the webinar. If you recently have taken your MBA, you've probably seen Tesco as one of the examples of the best companies. If you've tried typing loyalty program in Google, you've probably seen Tesco on the first page. But what does happen to Tesco now? Here's a quote from the Harvard Business Review magazine. Tesco's chairman has resigned in disgrace. The company's market value has more than halved to an 11-year low. And what's Warren Buffett saying? I made a mistake in Tesco. That was a huge mistake, baby. Oof, I wouldn't want to hear this from Warren Buffett about my company. Let's try to dig into the reasons why has this happened. And here is one of them. Shoppers are questioning whether loyalty cards, such as Club Card, are more helpful to the supermarket than they are to the shopper. Think about it. So, people are changing the way they make decisions. They're changing the way they buy. They make purchases. Yes, they also see all these presentations of the recommender engines. They also read all those articles of the data science and big data. So what I want to ask you to think about is that recommender systems are not only about bringing additional revenues to the organizations. They are not only about making people buy things they don't want to buy. They are about improving customer and consumer experience and making them spend more on the other items that they really need, predicting what they're gonna need, what they want to purchase, and then giving it to them. If you change the way you work with them, you will have them be with you forever if you want to really help them, but not sell them something they don't want to use. Going to the next one. And that's a really hot topic now. Churn, or as some of you might say, bounce rate, prediction and prevention. One of the most common problems retailers face today is a passive customer churn. So someone goes to the website, whether it's booking.com or whether it's some gadget retailer, add it to a cart, and then leave. That doesn't feel good. So what do? By using specific data science techniques, you can predict when this person is going to leave the website without making a purchase. And then you can make some recommendation, whether it's some bonus or $5 gift or 5% discount. There is an action that you can take to turn this person who's going to leave you to your customer. That's a combination of data science techniques and recommender engines. You can also go deeper on this. I really didn't want to go this deep in the webinar, but you're going to have my contacts afterwards, and you can contact me, you can discuss it. It's getting popular now, the omni-channel marketing. So you can track how does your consumer behave, not only on the website, but within their emails, within mobile application, and actually in store. A simple example. The person who is looking to buy a expensive LCD flat TV is not probably going to make a purchase from the first visit to your website. So, as example, he's going to the website, he's looking at the TV, and then he leaves the website. So you don't need to hurry up and offer him a discount. You need to understand that it takes him a few days, a few weeks, or maybe a month to get this done. So he can even go to the mobile app or watch an email. Now, let's go further to the last one. And this is like a pure future. If you look to what Gartner predicts, they predict that by year end 2016, $2.5 billion in online shopping will be performed exclusively by mobile digital assistants. So imagine your fridge is making a purchase on the product once a week from online retailer. Is your business ready to make recommendations for someone's fridge? Just think about it. And those can be different things. Those can be some wearables or anything else. That was the fifth case. Let's move a bit further. These are the conclusions from the 5 cases. First, more items sold doesn't mean better results. Consider multiple criteria for your recommendation engine. And those criteria would be different for different businesses, different industries. Next one, content recommendation. Different users, different perceptions, different reactions. The technology has gone so far that you can actually make a unique website for each user. Next, recommender systems can create customer experience and by this increase involvement and revenue. Don't try to sell things you think they don't need. Try to make users love you and help them by the help of recommender engines. Just thinking from a different angle, from their perspective. It's a whole different picture. Fourth one, churn prediction and prevention. It's a hot topic. I've described how it works, and it really works. And at the end, get ready for the future. Digital assistance recommendations, Internet of Things, wearables, customer journey throughout all of these devices and all of the points of contact. This is already here. Thank you very much for joining and listening. These are my contacts. I'm happy to talk on Twitter, LinkedIn. There's my email. Please contact me. And let me check the questions there. Yeah. And by the way, don't forget the ratings. I would really appreciate your feedback. Sound, audio. There is one question I have here. What about structuring data of qualitative answers, semantic? What infrastructure is needed? Well, I would say that talking about infrastructure, you really need to understand what are the sizes of data and what is the speed of data generation. So a question whether you need a Hadoop cluster or not really depends on the size of the information that you're going to get. So, I mean, it's really case by case. Which software you can suggest for online profiling? Well, it's really not about software that much. It's rather about techniques. So, for example, what would we use? We would be using RapidMiner or Python programming language for profiling the users at the end. But it's not that about the software. It's really decided on the one-to-one basis once again. Okay, the next question is, can you share which topic will be covered in next webinar session? To tell the truth, I haven't decided yet. I would love to hear your thoughts on this. There are my contacts. Please drop me an email or send me a note on Twitter. I would really love to consider. Those topics might be as more technical and both more like business-like, like this one. And we're also capable of speaking on wearables, digital, more data science things. So I really appreciate your feedback. We listen to the market and we speak on the topics that we consider are hot now, let's say. What do we see is hot now is computer vision. So image recognition, augmented reality, those kind of things. The next question, are there finished software systems for e-commerce? I'm not a specialist in e-commerce software solutions. I'm sure there are a lot, but once again, it depends on your business size and what you require. No, like finished and out-of-the-box software solution can fit perfectly. So there's always a room for customization. From our experience, we'll build a solution from scratch, both including website, mobile apps, front end and back end. It really depends on what do you want from this, how many users do you expect there to be. Lots of questions here. Okay. Looks like no more questions. Thank you very much for joining, for your time. Once again, I'm really happy to talk via email, Twitter, LinkedIn. Please connect. I'm always happy to hear your thoughts, especially on the next topics that we'd like to cover. Thank you very much.